everybody. So it is earlier than I normally even do these. This is a special video. I normally do one video a week, but I'm adding a second video. Actually, I don't know if it's adding a video, but I'm doing a special video for the Witch of the Wonderlust coven group. I know she doesn't like the word fans, but I mean, I can say it, right? For her fans, her followers, the coven group, who gave her 200 questions for the Q&A I did on her channel. First of all, I want to say thank you to everybody for all of those questions. I'm always kind of this weird kind of person that kind of always feel like, are people going to even really want to ask any questions or anything? I don't really assume that, you know, oh yeah, everyone's going to be like into this and da-da-da-da. I kind of always assume like, I don't know, we'll see. And then I get always like pleasantly surprised. Sorry, I have coffee, early throat. Lipstick on Yoda. I guess I'm kissing Yoda. It's kind of appropriate. So yeah, so she, obviously we didn't get to cover all the Q&A. This is going to be super cash. I'm not gonna, you know, I don't edit my videos. I just, you know, I kind of talk to the camera, so to speak, and say what I need to say on a subject. And so I'm not fancy like Olivia, where I'm going to be able to, you know, put up the questions on the screen. I'm definitely not going to use your names. I kind of like learned from the podcast me and Mystic Dylan do. If you haven't checked it out, it's The Witch and the Medium, that, you know, maybe using just the first name if people, or maybe no name. But also, probably because there can be a lot of people with the same name. I don't know. You know how the internet is. We got to just kind of, we got to be careful about things. So I think it's just better to just go over questions. So I'm going to just like, I'm actually looking at my phone, looking directly at the questions you guys put. And some of the questions I'm going to skip over, and because there's like multiple same questions that I'll just go, look, I covered that on this video, check this video out, to remind you, you know, on my channel, the videos that I already did to cover these questions, or even to remind you if I answered it on her page on the Q&A. Okay, so we're gonna just like be super casual with my coffee, and we're gonna get through this. But what I like about it is I really love interacting with people. The whole point of me doing this is I like to know what I'm doing is helping and affecting. If you notice, I'm kind of a big comment back person on my channel. I also don't have huge like numbers, and that could be true, but I even still, I used to live stream and stuff. I always like the interactive, which reminds me, I hit 1,000 subscribers thanks to you guys, so I'll be able to live stream live readings on here. And I do them on Instagram, but I'm excited to be able to do them on YouTube, so which means I will do live readings for you. I just want people to know, obviously I can't read like a ton of people at the same time. I mean, that's why I'll be doing it several times, but I am going to be able to do live readings on mediumship readings. I can do those. You tell me who you want to talk to, and I'll talk to that person. And if you haven't seen me live stream, it might be cool for you to watch, even if you don't want to participate. Also, I wanted to let everyone know, if you're not following me on Instagram, because Olivia posted on her Instagram and reposted my post, that I'm doing a special for all of her coven peeps, followers, fans, half off my half-hour readings. So normally they're $90, there will be $45. Not to be like tacky, but I know how it is when you're like, well, I wonder what that is, and now you have to like look it up, and so I might as well just say it. So excuse me if it sounds tacky, but it's half off for half-hour readings. It's only going to be good. The code is WONDER. You go to my website, adayalevine.com. I've already had people who have taken this offer up, which is awesome, which is why I'm doing this early, because I have a lot of readings today. But this is kind of like a way you can kind of see what I do, and I totally get it. I completely encourage people to kind of test the waters in this area. So if you go to adayalevine.com and you just pick the day and time you want, it's for one-time use only, meaning it's only for you or whoever you're giving that code to who wants to use it. Like, you can, but you yourself or that person can't use it over and over. But, you know, if you wanted to let people know, that's totally fine. And you just put the code WONDER in when you go to book. All right. And you don't have to specify what type of reading. Remember, I do medium readings and intuitive, so I can do readings about your life and talking to those who pass. So let's get to the questions. Okay. All right. So this was a question I got asked a lot. I got asked this question a lot, so much that I am reminded to do my next video on. What does Adela believe happens to us after we die? Does she believe in heaven and hell? Does she believe in reincarnation? The heaven and hell part I answered on Olivia's Q&A, and I've answered on even our podcast with Mystic Dylan, The Witch and the Medium. You guys can listen to that on iTunes or any place where they do podcasts. The reincarnation, okay, I'm going to do a whole video dedicated to the reincarnation, but I did answer it also on Olivia's Q&A. So I don't want to get into it fully here. If you can, you'll get a taste of what I have to say about the reincarnation. And even on our podcast, I just touched on it. But if you want to check my video out my next video for next week is going to be about that. I mean, I got asked that enough. Not even only on her questions, but, you know, I've gotten emails and comments on my videos. Okay. I just want to know where to start. I have an altar. That's for Olivia. When did she realize she was a medium? I answered that. And if I see, I'm starting at the top, but I'm going to see repeats as I go down. Obviously, I'm not, don't worry. You're like, is she going to sit here and read every 200 questions? Oh my God, this is going to be like crazy. No, I'm not. I'm kind of starting with the questions that, you know, and then I'll say, like, I'll scroll down and just say I answered that. What did she realize when she was first medium? I answered that on the Q&A with Olivia. That's kind of how we started the video. Would it be a good idea to get more into the spirit realm? I answered that one. Please talk about animals in the spiritual realm. Yes, that was definitely another question, and I'm also going to do a video on. I'm going to dedicate a video. However, I did answer that on what happens to us when we die. It's either part 1 or part 2, but one of those I definitely answered about animals. I answered, how can you tell the presence? I already answered that on her Q&A. How is our mind supposed to perceive spirit? Is it more of a thought? This is a good one. I remember this one with the head kind of feeling, or is it more of a visceral? Oh, wow. I had to look at that. You are very smart. And a physical for us. So for me, I see it with my mind's eye. I see it in a telepathic. I see, hear, taste. I didn't think I said this on our channel. Hear, taste, touch, smell. And see, touch, taste, smell, hear. I use all the senses, basically. It happened over time. I just want people to be clear. At first, I was just seeing, then I was hearing, and then all of a sudden, I started getting taste. And what I mean by taste is I can be doing a reading, and I feel like I'm tasting a certain something. As soon as I, sorry, excuse me, this coffee, acknowledged it in the reading, it'll go away. Same with smell. Smell kind of feels like it goes right under your nose. And, you know, I'm always logical with smells. I look around and I'll, you know, is this coming from anywhere, to make sure. And you're like, okay, if I'm smelling, you know, lavender or vanilla or whatever, and it's around me, but you know, there's a difference. Okay. It's kind of the same thing, that as soon as you get the smell, it's an energy type smell. It's hard to explain, but it's like a telepathic talking. And as soon as I acknowledge it, the smell will go away. So some people actually see the apparitions, like they actually see something come in form. I have seen that, and I've talked about that on the podcast. Dylan has asked about that several times. I've talked about that in our podcast several times. Yes, I have seen visuals. I have chosen to ask the spirit realm to not do that. It's very alarming, and it throws you off quite a bit. So I prefer it in a telepathic form. But I have been more open, and that's what I'm saying. Sight changes. I've been reading for about 15 years, going on. Sorry. And I just want to make sure. Do I have coffee? No. I've been reading for 15 years, going on 15 years, and my sight has changed, and it developed and changed and developed over time. And that's what I can't stress enough. These things, I wish it was like X-Men. It is a little bit like, when you first kind of realize ability, but pretty much the more you hone it, the more you master it, the more your sight changes. So I hope that answers that. How can we non-mediums tell if our past, I'm told I can, I answered that one, so I'm not going to read it. How can we non-mediums tell if our past loved ones are around us? What signs should we look for? I have a video on that about signs, so check that out. It's about signs and knowing if you're getting a sign. And actually the video is like, it's about signs. So it's easy to find on here, okay? You guys are awesome with your questions. Does hanging out, this is the best. I love this question because it's like they said, okay, this is serious. And I get it. Listen, I'm getting chills because I know what they're talking about. Does hanging your foot or feet outside the bed dangerous? Because when I do, I feel like something's grabbing it. Okay. I understand what they're saying. I mean, we've all had that feeling, right? Especially when we're kids. And I think it's like so honest and cool for them to ask this question because everybody's thought this, right? No, it is not dangerous. Not at all. If you feel like something's grabbing it, it doesn't mean that the spirit realm can't touch you, but they can touch you anywhere, like here. But it's not to be negative or disruptive. It's kind of to get your attention. But I bet you're just like, maybe you're having a combination of like that kid thing, and maybe you are feeling something touch you. I can't say that isn't happening to you, but it's definitely not dangerous. But it definitely gives you that feeling of like, I feel like it's like an out of control feeling. Like I've been touched many times and things like this, but honestly, I think the feet thing always just makes us feel like kind of weirdly vulnerable. Like we can't see what's going on, right? Like even getting touched in your face doesn't feel as like creepy to people, but don't be creeped out. If you're feeling something in your feet, it may be something. Here's the other thing it could be, is that when I do a class, which by the way, if you guys are in the LA area, me and Dylan are doing our class on the 26th next week on how to spirit communicate. But when I do class, when I bring people into that realm, I take you on a journey, I push energy into your feet because energy, it is easier to push energy into the feet, and because it goes all the way up the body, like that. So it could be that too, that maybe you're just getting that sensation. Maybe you're trying to astral travel or something. Anything about shadow people? Definitely have a video on that called Shadow People, so check that out. I can answer that. This person has a little story, so it's a little bit too long to read. It's a really, really long. I'll answer you in the comments in her Q&A. I'll just answer you. Does she use certain crystals to work with? If yes, which one? Thanks. Yes, I use crystals. I'm going to do a video on crystals. I love clear quartz the best. The different crystals, here's my belief on crystals, and I'll get more into it in my video. Crystals are definitely for people, are going to be different for everyone. So what is a crystal is good for you may not be for someone else. You know what I'm saying? So for instance, you kind of got to hold the crystal and feel like what works for you. That's what I believe in. But honestly, clear quartz I love because you can hold it, and you can push energy that you want to it. To cleanse crystals, you can, I'm going to, I have a video on how to get rid of paranormal activity. You can see what I use. I use coal, hot coal, and resin incense, but you can clear them that way. So be careful about putting them in salt water, because some crystals actually dissolve in salt water, so you don't want to do that. And then to charge them, I like to charge them in the sun because I'm a sun person. Some people like to charge them in the moon, but clear quartz is my favorite. Rose quartz is for, like, I also use, which is for love. It's for the heart, for healing the heart. And some people like black tourmaline because it takes away negative energy. Some people like to put it by their bed. Some people like to wear it. I'm not really into it, but that's on you. But yeah, so I would say, like, find out, like, hold them, and which one you're drawn to, then read and see what it means, because you might go, oh wow. And by the way, crystals change at what you are drawn to according to what's going on in your life. You may be really, really drawn to a certain crystal and then, like, really not interested after like 3 months. Okay. So what should I do when I see a spirit that I haven't called on? So I'm going to answer these. These are kind of like stories and I'll answer those. Is ringing in the ears an actual signs of spirits? Yes, because it's vibration. I get that a lot because it's a vibration. So you may be, like, just getting the vibration of the ringing, meaning, like, you may not be getting everything from that spirit, but it's a vibrational energy. And yeah, so when that happens, you should kind of go, okay, who's trying to get my attention? What do you guys want to say? If you choose. This one we answered on her video. How do you tell the difference between voice vibes, feeling in my head, and spirit when trying to communicate? Voice vibes, feeling in my head, and a spirit. I'm not quite sure what that means. A voice vibe. I'm not quite sure what that means, but I think they're talking about the difference between what you feel and maybe, thoughts that are coming. It's really hard to tell the difference, but you tell the difference because it doesn't sound or feel like you. Has she ever seen, this is a question people like to know, has she ever seen ancient gods or extraterrestrial beings in spirit realm? By the way, I love your videos. Oh, thank you. Yes, interdimensional video on here. I have seen many what I call interdimensional beings. I believe in ancient beings, gods. I talked about that on our podcast, but yes, and I kind of believe there a lot of I believe, like, the gods and stuff are kind of like what I call the ancient ones, right? But yeah, yes, and watch that video. I think you might enjoy it. I have a lot of stories on there, so that's a yes. Can you be adept at both earth and spirit? I believe I'm also more earth-based. Yeah, I cover a lot of that kind of stuff. I feel like on my on a bunch of different videos. Can you see spirits? If not, how do you know a spirit is present? Does it give you a certain feeling or something else? Thank you so much. So I just want people to be clear how I read. Can I see spirits? Yes. But how I read, I block that realm until I'm reading. So in other words, the way I work is you tell me anyone you want to talk to. You don't have to tell me ahead of time. Anyone you want to talk to at the time of the reading, and I log into that person. Sometimes do I see things when I'm trying to block it? Yes, but it's taken me years to block it out, so that I can have a life, so I can, like, go shopping and do things. So that type of thing. When you started becoming a medium, how did you learn to channel? Can you give me any tips on opening? I covered that also on Olivia's. What are the dangers about connecting with the spirit realm? I definitely got that question a lot. There's not really danger. I just don't want people to be afraid. You just got to learn how to protect, in the sense of making sure you're not getting trickster spirits that are just trying to say things to you, and you don't know who they are. That's the biggest problem I would see, is that people kind of open up, and they're like, oh, it's this little girl, or it's a little boy, and it's like, how do you know? There are let me put it this way, all spirits want to talk. They all want to talk. They all want to communicate, despite what you guys are being told. And so the ones who are, you're like, I really want to talk to Aunt so-and-so, and the ones are like, well, what about us? No one wants to talk to us. So since you're thinking you're talking to your Aunt so-and-so, I'll talk to you. So it's really about confirmation, and opening up really is just deciding and kind of starting to communicate with that realm, saying you're willing to hear them. How do you spiritually cleanse your tools? I don't know. And altars, I think that's for Olivia. I've covered what I do with crystals, but I think that's for Olivia. What are some ways a spirit is reaching out to you? Are there ways of learning or practicing spirit work she recommends? Yeah, mostly in all my videos, I kind of cover that, right? I think so. Are we all one spirit or combination of many? That's a really good question. I like, are we all one spirit or a combination of many? So in this realm, because the whole point of the physical body and being in a physical body and then this physical world, we're living separate from each other, right? And in the other realm, it is a collective consciousness, a collective whole. So in the other realm, we live in this telepathic understanding and communication. You are still individually who you are, right? Your personality and everything, how you see the world. Oh wow, this is like, okay guys, does this look like a butterfly? Okay, just so you know, my lipstick, didn't it make like a butterfly? I think so. By the way, Dylan hates butterflies. If I was like an editing video, there'd be like crickets going off right now. So I never heard that, but he does. But anyway, so yeah, it's a collective whole. It's a collective consciousness, right? So in that realm, everybody, it's kind of like, look at it like it's like the internet. The internet is a world within a world. And in the internet, we can connect with each other. And we're learning, I believe, technology. And I was on Bigfoot Collectors Club, and I talked about it on their podcast. But I believe technology is actually helping us in a very raw, believe it or not, barbaric way of how that realm is, and helping us remember. Because believe it or not, you guys do know, you just forgot. And so all I'm trying to do, and other, spiritual people should be trying to do, is just help unlock what you already know inside. So yeah, there is more of this telepathic knowing, and basically like, yeah, I already know how you feel. I can already feel it. I can already see it. Whereas here we have to use words, and we have to use graphs, and we have to explain it. And that's why a lot of times you feel lonely, because you're like, I feel disconnected. I don't feel like people understand me, because we don't connect in that way in this place. It's very hard. But if you look at the internet, we're finding a way to see each other's worlds, to see things from each other's eyes. So I'm really excited about, because 15 years ago when I started reading and I tried to explain this, it was harder, but technology is helping people understand. So imagine that times a million, okay, like how the internet is. Can she sense things from just passing someone, or does it need to be focused session? I explained that about, yes, I can, but I block it because I wouldn't have a life. And when I first started, it was really hard. But it's not just mediumship, it's intuitive, that part. I can see things about people. And sometimes I can't. Sometimes it just comes to me. And sometimes when I think I'm blocking, I'm not, because I'll start saying something to someone and I'm thinking I'm being casual, and they're like, oh, that's weird. How'd you know that? So it is part of who I am. And let me just say it this way, and I'll explain it. I hope you guys understand. It's a blessing and a curse to have all these things. It's a blessing because I want to help free people. I want to awaken people. I want to bring things to people. It can be a curse because it is a lonely path. I want people to understand this is a dedication. I dedicated my life to honing this and mastering this and being authentic and being I truly care. But it does mean sometimes it's a little bit of a lonely path, because it's a lot hard to make friends when you see stuff. Okay, so what is some of the or what are some of the dangers? I actually already answered that. I would like to know how to stay protected from negative energies, whether they be spirit otherwise. Have an awesome Q&A. Negative energies. So yeah, so don't worry. I know people, this is kind of like, I want people to start opening up to the positive of communicating. Remember the paranormal realm. Here's the bottom line. The paranormal realm, the reason why it's shown as being negative, or the reason why people get afraid of it, is because it's the unknown. Because it's kind of scary for us to like, trust something we feel like we can't see and we can't hear. It's the unknown that scares us. It's the different, that it feels different. But it's not actually, it's not scary. It's just, or it's not negative. And a lot of things that we depict as negative because we don't understand it or because it feels invasive isn't negative. But is there negative energies? Yes. And on our podcast, we talked about that. I think we did on angels and demons. I'm going to definitely do a video on it. But to way to protect is I call in anything you believe in, what you believe in, whatever is the energies you believe in for protection, call that in. I use Archangel Michael because I don't literally believe it's like an angel with wings, but it's a guardian. Some people could think it's an alien. Some people could think it's a jinn. Some people, everyone has different opinions, but I call that energy in because it's a guardian between the realms. So I would say call in around you what you want to protect. If you're opening yourself up, call in the golden light. Golden light isn't like because it's like, oh, all golden and it's better. It's the way we see this vibration. So light is a vibration and we're seeing the color of it. And so that's the one I see, and blue, and I ask it to come around, but it's not the only way you could do it. Some people have other ways, tools they use. What works for you? It's just make the intention to put a protective sphere around you, whichever way. If you're a witch, which I'm sure many of you are, and you want to use your certain tools and things, do that, okay? Just be conscious about it. This person had a story. I'll answer them myself on here. Have you ever encountered a spirit attempting to cause harm? I've had personal problem with that in my home. If you've had problem with that, look at my paranormal how to get rid of paranormal activity video. I think that would help. See, there's a lot of, are there dangers of being a medium? You guys, what about, is there like awesomeness? Is there like good feelings? I want you to know there's way more. I feel like these are my people. That spirit realm is my people. They're my friends. They're people who protect, not in the way, I don't want to sound crazy, like we're sitting down having tea and being like, okay, I don't drink tea, I drink coffee. We're not sitting down having coffee. I was just picturing like something like, seeming more sophisticated, like Olivia's tea drinking. We're not sitting here having coffee or, having a glass of wine. I don't want people to picture it like that. But I'm saying they are trying to help you. Here's the main message I want you to understand. The spirit realm is trying to contact, because they don't need help. They're trying to help you. They're in a realm that has nothing blocking them. That's nothing. And I cover this on some of my videos. So don't worry about that so much. Just make the intention of protection. Does she have any knowledge of reversing a curse from the Seal of Solomon? I do not. Go to Mystic Dylan for that. That's not my realm, so I don't want to step outside my bounds. And this is kind of a long one, so I may have to answer that myself. And that's another long one. And sometimes I feel like spirits are following me. How can I deal with that? Can I react to it? So I want to be clear, spirits don't follow you. It's not that spirits are following you. That realm is it's a realm within a realm, like the internet, like I said, or like I said in Olivia's Q&A, like an onion. We're in one layer, they're in the outer layer. So they're not following. You gotta take your mind away from this dimension. The way things work here is not the way things work there. They don't need to follow. They don't need to like get in your car and follow you. You are opening and connecting to them. So to answer in whole the question, how to connect to that spirit realm, you got to connect. You got to log on to that internet and connect to them And if you're sensing it, it's just because you're sensing the realm that's existing all the time. The spiritual realm is interacting like the matrix with this realm on a continuous basis. There are times where you're aware of it consciously, and sometimes you're not. That's why things happen at night, and I cover a lot of that in my videos about what happens after we die and all kinds of other videos. So there's one about fear. I just covered that. That's another story. Someone just telling Olivia how great her channel is. Say or show her that I already answered that one. I just want to know how to become more spiritual, connected to my higher self. That's an awesome question, because that's more on the intuitive side of me. To get connected to that part of you is just to start waking up and start allowing yourself to remember who you are. Remember who you were when you were born, who you came into this world, and trust it. Because remember, like, think back to when you were 5. When we're about 5, we really know who we are until our parents start telling us that's not who we are. So this one was a good question, because I just talked about Archangel Michael. They said, great idea beyond using visualization and or Archangel Michael to protect oneself. Does she have any other suggestions for empaths involving healing? It's a long question. The rest of it, she had a lot of questions, and she put the cutest like emojis, and she'll know who she is. She has all these cute emojis. Yeah, so like I said before, use what, that's a long question. I'm not going to read the whole thing here, because she had like a question and question within a question. Quite a few questions in one question. I would say, like I said before, use what works for you, right? That's what I'm saying. That's what I use, Archangel Michael and energy. And if that's not what works for you, if you feel like, you know, I'm more attracted to the Buddhist energy, or I'm more attracted to, you know, deities, use what works for you. It has to come from an intention, and if there's something that seems to work the best for you, listen to that, follow yourself. How do you tell if other mediums are faking it? Oh, yes, I love this question, and I answered it on Olivia's Q&A, but I'm going to expand on it. Someone had made a comment, because I said looking at pictures. If someone asks you to bring a picture, is what I said, you know, be leery. And someone said, well, I know, someone had comment to me, well, I know some people who use that. That is true. So I want to explain. If you're going to a professional medium and you're like paying for this, they should be beyond having to look at a picture. You got to be careful, because if they're looking at a picture, there's a lot you can pull. So I want to explain what I meant by that. I'm not saying if you're honing, and they said they know people who do it. Yeah, when you're honing and you're developing, but you have to realize the gifts do change over time. And so with today's world of Google and all this is why I like to do confirmations that are beyond what you think someone could find. So in other words, a conversation the person had the night before. This is what you want to look for. Are they telling you things that there's no way they could have known, right? I'll give you a quick little example. I have a friend, when I first, he first met me, I didn't know this, but he didn't really believe in anything in this stuff. He came to a gallery. A gallery is when I have 20 people sitting in a room, and I read every single people. I actually do up to 25, every single person in the room. So he got a reading. He knew I knew his father passed, and his father's like, he doesn't believe you. And I didn't know he didn't believe in what I was doing. I didn't know this. He told me later. And all of a sudden his father was like, tell them about this certain thing, because I'm going to not share his story totally. And I saw it, and I said it, and he said that no one knew, not even his partner who I was friends with. He said, it's in the attic in my house in another state. I've never talked about it. No one, he was like skeptical basically. And he said, after that, I knew it had to be. You want someone who's going to go for details, right? So that's kind of what I meant. You got to realize that I changed my abilities as technology grew. So when Google came around, I got more and more into remote viewing. Like, I'm going to step into your room and walk around, and I'm going to go into your closet. I'm going to try and pull something very specific, and getting the personality and your relationship. And that's kind of what I meant. So if someone isn't if someone's just saying very general things, if they're saying they can't speak to the person, they're not here, they're mad at you, oh, they reincarnated, so they're gone. These are all things that are easy to use. And how would you know? How would you know? So confirmations that resonate and you're like, I really feel like it felt like this person. Okay, so my video cut out. So I went over the questions, and I'm just going to say this about Ouija boards. I'll do a video on that and kind of how to properly use them. Someone asked what nationality I am, which I thought was interesting. I'm Aztec and Jewish combo. And really much a lot of these questions were how to start and how to protect, and there was a lot of like repeat of that, and I have that all in my videos. And astral and how to cut ties with ancestors. By the way, you just don't have to talk to them. And I went over it, and it's pretty much asking similar questions. So here's what I'm going to say. I have videos on a lot of these questions, and I'm going to be making videos, but I'm also going to be doing live stream. So when I do live stream, I'm happy to like answer so that everyone can see it, and that may help cover it. So I hope that first video that I did cover it, and this is just me saying thank you guys, and I love all these questions. A lot of the questions were like, how do I start, how do I start, how do I start, which I think I covered a lot. And people want like a scary story and a happy story, and I think I say a lot of stories, and a lot of jokes about extra small and medium large and all that kind of stuff. So thank you guys for all the questions. I went over it as my the other one died and said you're done, but I wanted to do a closing. So this is the part 2. If you're watching this and wondering what is she talking about, I had a part 1 in answering Q&As for Olivia, and this is the part 2 that that I'm following up. And I just want to say thank you guys. You can follow me here, of course, Adele Levine. On my YouTube, you can listen to me and Dylan, Mystic Dylan, on our podcast, The Witch and the Medium, on an Instagram. I'm Adele Levine, and I'm going to be doing live stream, and I do live stream on Instagram, so that hopefully you guys can just answer and everyone can hear. What I like about YouTube is it saves. What I don't like about Instagram, it doesn't save, so the things I've done in there, people can't see it after 24 hours. So the bottom line is that at the end of the day, follow yourself. Don't follow anyone. Go with what works for you and your intuition. Try to take your mind out of this plane and how things are here, and try to look at it from a completely different view of a limited space and time. And that kind of helps you to kind of see things from a different perspective. I'm looking and seeing, making sure, like, I just wanted to make sure I didn't, like, I might have missed some of the questions, and I apologize. I'm doing the best I can. You know, I don't have a studio or anything like that. And so, so I hope you guys understand. I hope this kind of answered some of the questions. There were a lot of repeat questions. Someone even said, I'm not going to ask a question because there's a lot of repeat questions. And I have videos on astral traveling, shadow people, sleep paralysis, what happens to us after we die, part 1, part 2. That will definitely help answer a lot of questions. All kinds of videos, and I'm more than happy to hear. Go ahead and comment here on videos you'd like me to cover that you haven't seen me cover. My next video, I'm pretty sure, I think I'm going to do about reincarnation, because I've got a call for that, meaning people have asked a lot about that and my belief on it, which is a little bit different. Thank you guys so much. Listen to yourself. Don't follow anyone. Don't listen to anyone.